it's time to do math, so make sure you have your math book out. You also want to be turned to page 557. So I'll give you a second to do that. How's your day going so far? Did you start with math? I don't know. You know I'm standing here on Thursday, right? Landon's over there pretending to be quiet. And a shout out to my cameraman, Vincent, so thanks for that, Vincent. Yeah, being quiet. All right, so you got your math book ready? Okay, good. Let's look at our learning target for today. So our learning target for today is that you can divide with unit fractions. So if you recall, 2 days ago we divided whole numbers by unit fractions, and then yesterday we divided fractions by non-zero whole numbers. Today we're just kind of putting it all together, dividing with unit fractions. So how are we going to do that? Again, we're going to make sure we know that relationship, understand that relationship between multiplication and division when we're going in reverse. We're going to keep on keeping on with our keep, change, and flip. And then we're going to look at models and how we can use models to help us as well. Success criteria are to be able to do these practice problems on your own at home with minimal support. I mean, I'm not there for you necessarily, so hopefully you can do them. And then when we come back to get a 4 or higher on the quick check. I've seen great scores the last couple days. I expect the same will continue with this because, again, this is just kind of putting it all together, all right? So you should be on page 557. And let's go ahead and look at our problem. So the Brown family is planting 1/3 of their garden with flowers, 1/3 with berries, and 1/3 with vegetables. The vegetable section has equal parts of carrots, onions, peppers, and tomatoes. What fraction of the garden is planted with carrots? So I'm going to give you a second to solve this. You can pause it. I'm just going to pause for a second and then keep going on. So you work it out. All right, hopefully you got the answer of 1/12 of the garden. How did you figure that out, right? Well, we have 1/3 of each section of the garden is split up, right? And we know that 1/3 of the garden is for all the vegetables. But that third then is split between our different vegetables. We have, again, carrots, onions, peppers, and tomatoes. The question asks us, how much is for the carrots? So how many vegetables did we have? We had 4. So that means we're taking that 1/3 section and we're dividing it by 4. So that should give us then 1/12, right? Let's look at our reverse just to make sure. So if 1/3 divided by 4 equals 1/12, then that means that 1/12 times 4 equals 1/3. Is that true? 1/12 times 4, that gives us 4/12, and that reduces to 1/3. So there we are, right? Now if we're doing our method of keep, change, flip, and we have 1/3 divided by 4, what are we keeping? Yep, the 1/3. What is changing? Division to multiplication. And then what's being flipped? Yep, the 4 is being flipped, but it is what as a fraction? That's right, it's 4 over 1, so we're flipping it and we get 1/4. 1 times 1 is 1, 3 times 4 is 12. Same thing we've been doing. So remember too that we talked about yesterday, if you're starting with a fraction on these, your answer is going to be a fraction. If we start with a whole number, our answer is going to be a whole number. Okay? Still the same thing that we've been working on and putting together. We proved the reverse is true, the different ways that we can look at it. All right, so let's flip over then to the next page, that's 558. Let's briefly look at our problem here. It says a utility company is planning to install wind turbines on 4 square miles of land. Each turbine requires 1/6 square mile of land. How many turbines can be installed? All right, and we're dividing again, right, because everything is split up equally, so we can divide this. What is the problem that we're going to divide? We have 4 square miles of land. Each turbine is going on 1/6 square mile of the land. So we have to take what divided by what for this? Yep, that's right. We have to take 4 divided by 1/6. Okay? Remember how I just said if we start with a whole number, we're going to end up with a whole number for our answer, so keep that in mind as we're doing this. Again, we do keep, change, flip. I'm keeping the 4, changing the division to multiplication, and then I am flipping my fraction. If I have 1/6, I flip it, which is 6/1, or just 6. And my answer is 24, right? There we go. Again, does it work in reverse? If 4 divided by 1/6 equals 24, then 24 times 1/6 should equal 4. See, if I cross cancel, that becomes a 6. Sorry, that doesn't become a 6, that becomes a 4. I'm dividing by 6. That becomes a 1. There we go with 4. Again, this should not be anything new. We've been covering this type of stuff for the past couple of days. Now, something to look at, if you look at the one way on part B, is it brings up an area model for you. So it's taking those 4 square miles in a whole section and then splitting them up into 1/6 as well. You can kind of see that in your book, and if you count down, you're going to see those little 24 parts. Another way we can do that is that number line, set up 4 holes, and know that we have to split it up into 6 parts for each of those holes. If you're splitting something into 6 parts, that means you're going to get 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, and then 6/6 or the whole. Okay? All right, if you have questions, make sure you send me something on Canvas to let me know. Otherwise, we're going to look at some of these problems here quickly on page 559. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to do number 3 and number 5. Let's go ahead and do that. If you need to pause my video while you're doing that, that's fine. I'm going to set these up on the board just to see where we are. Okay, hopefully you got your answers and you got it even before I finished writing them up on the board. And if that's the case, then great. If not, that's fine too, obviously. Okay, remember that if we start with a whole number, we're going to get an answer that is a, yep. And if we start with a fraction, we're going to get an answer that is a, exactly. Okay, so here, our answer should be 8. Here, our answer should be 1/12. And if you need to see it, keep, change, flip. Keep, change, flip. And that's where we are. My guess is you guys got that, no problem. Okay, so let's drop down then to number 8. Okay, there we have 1/2 divided by 5. You can use that number line if you need to. So how many times would you split up that 1/2 into? If we're dividing it by 5, how many sections of that 1/2 do you want? Exactly, 5. Now if you need to use the number line, that's fine. If you can just do it and tell me that the answer is, yep, 1/10, then you have it. All right, so here's what I want you to do then. We're going to look at it briefly when you guys come back on Tuesday, okay? Just to make sure that you have this down. I want you to do number 9, 10, 12, and I want you to also try 14 and see if we can do that higher order thinking. Okay, so on page 559 and 560, that's where we are. I want you to do 9, 10, 12, and 14. We'll look at it when you guys come back on Tuesday. Have any questions? Shoot them to me. Otherwise, that should be good to go. I'm confident on this one. Hope you did well on your quick check that you already did. And also, if you still feel like you need some practice here, I have included the practice buddy. You don't have to do the practice buddy if you don't want to, but it is there for you in case you feel like you need a little bit more support with it. Okay? All right, that's math for today. I'll see you later.